Hello, FTC Alberta. This is weird, you don't get to see my face, and I'll explain why in a moment here, but this is actually going to be a bit of a session talking about how to set up a really cool video stream for your remote events so that you can, you score a high score, you can send in your screen, it has the scoreboard on it, it works really well. So let's go through this. This is going to be using OBS Studio. Now I'm going to cut over to my screen here right off the bat because I've actually downloaded OBS. I obviously use this quite frequently. If you want to go download it, the link will be in the comment or in the description here. It is the Open Broadcasting software, Open Broadcasting Studio software. Anyways, it is a free program. It is wonderful for a lot of things. We often use this for some of our FTC live events to actually put stuff together. Now let's start here so that you can actually see my face. I'm going to go ahead and set up a really basic piece of OBS here. So just give me 1 second to set up a video capture device. And I'm just going to set up my webcam so that we can actually see me. Hello, welcome. How are you? Let's adjust this camera just a hair. There we go. All right, so now we have a picture of me, and this is super weird because I'm using OBS to record OBS, which it happens sometimes. That being said, welcome to the OBS suite. Now yours, when you started, probably had the audio mixer down here. Mine, I like to keep it up here because it's visually more interesting for me. It helps me work. And obviously you can see the audio is not coming in yet, but we'll talk about that. Now the goal here is to set up a layout, much like some of our teams here in Alberta have done, where you can actually see the overlay for how much time's left on the match, the live score, all that stuff going on while you're doing your match. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to set up OBS. Now, right now we've got something very basic set up, but there's one very important thing we need to do. We need to go to File, and we need to go into our settings. We need to set our output to an MP4. Okay, the default on this is MKV, which is a really good file format, but they tend to be really quite large. They aren't as easy to work with as MP4s necessarily, and so, just as a general rule of thumb, it's a good idea to actually come in and work with the MP4. So now I've got my OBS software set up here. And I actually want to go do two more things before I go very far on this one. The first is, if you're doing this at home, I would go back into my web browser and set up my actual scoring system. And I'm just going to jump into a test match here because that's going to be the easiest way to do this. You can use this with test matches, but you do need to actually go through all these steps once you're in a real match. The test match display and the real match display don't always connect. Sometimes they do. It's been a bit hit and miss for me. The other thing I've done is I have a logo down here, and some of you may want to integrate team logos into this, and if you do, make sure that those things are downloaded. OBS recognizes JPEG, PNGs, all sorts of different file types. That being said, let's get this thing started. Now, we're in a test match, and we want to use a display, because that's really why we're here. So we're actually going to click Open Display, and I'm going to do this twice, because I may have to hold Control on my keyboard to do the second one. What I really want is I actually want an overlay on one. I'm going to save this. And then for the other one, I actually want a field display. With 7277, we actually use the same computer for our media as we do for the display for the field, and that actually is going to help us out here. So what you can see right now is I've got two windows that are, pretty nondescript right now. If I show preview, they're both going to show a preview of the team. Nice. If I randomize, same thing. But what I really want to know is when I click show match, one of these is going to show this green screen version, and one of these is going to show the field display. Now this is the one that your drivers want. Obviously they want to be able to see the time, they want to be able to see where they are, so this is a good one to have. I'm going to pop this into its own window. Actually, I'm going to pop both of them into their own window, and I'm just going to leave them there in the background. We're going to reference them in a minute. Now, if we go back to OBS, we can see that we have a scene set up here. Now, by the way, you can have multiple scenes, so I'll talk about how to set that up in a minute here. But right now, all we have is the webcam. If we decide we want audio here, which often teams do, so they have some backup on what's going on, I'm going to go into my Create Select Sources, and I'm just going to add a microphone. In this case, I'm just going to use my webcam mic, but if you have an external microphone, good on you. That's what I'm recording on right now. And you can see that now my audio mixer at the top is actually going crazy. It's actually picking up whatever's coming in off of that microphone. If I feel like I want to, normalize the audio here or balance it out, I actually can mess with it. I have a bunch of options here. Now, the big thing we wanted was the overlay. So let's set that up. If I go down here at the bottom, I can actually set up one more thing. And in this case, I'm just going to grab a window capture. Now you could do a full display capture, which is what I'm using to show you this now. You could do a browser capture if you want to. I found the best results with window capture. I'm just going to call this overlay. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to ask me which window do I want to actually reference. And I'm just going to go down here because I opened those guys up into different windows, and I'm going to find the one that I have set up as overlay. Now I'm just going to line this up in my screen so that it shows up in a way that I like. In this case, I'm going to open it up just a little bit so it's full width, a little bit too far. There are some snap points on here. There are some easier ways I could probably be doing this, but what I really want is something similar to, grabbed that wrong. Oops. Let's shrink this down just a hair. There we go. All right, so now I've got something that is, is going to work for me as far as the score display goes, but you'll notice that I've disappeared. To fix that, I'm going to click on it, I'm going to right click, and I get lots of options. The only one I care about is the order right in the middle here, and I just want to move this down, and I can click Control, I believe it's Control minus on here, let me confirm that. Move down is Control plus the down key. All right, now I've got what I want. I've actually turned this around so that I can actually see whatever it is that's coming in off of my webcam, which is probably my field display, or whatever I want to show for my robots actually doing their thing. Okay, from here, what I'm going to do is I am going to set this up. Now, obviously, we are so close. If I go back into my overlay here, I can actually see that when I start the match, and this is going to make some sound here, I'm pretty sure. Just going to reset my test match, show the match, randomize the match, show the match, start the match. There we go, we got some sound going. Love it. Now that we're here, you can actually see back here in OBS. If I were recording this, I'd actually be, that was the wrong button. I would actually be getting the overlay, and you can see it kind of started here. Now I'm lucky enough to be able to have a second screen, so I'm going to move my overlay over to my second screen, and my overlay went away. Just a sec. Let's go find it again. There we go. Oh, it just resized. That's no fun. Trust me when I say once you get this going with your team, you'll never go back. It just does take a little bit of getting used to the first couple times. Alrighty, so now you can see that I've got my overlay, I've got my match running in the background, perhaps I've got somebody else scoring it, and you can see that my overlay is actually counting down. And we're in a pretty good spot right now. Right now I'm not recording. To do that, I would just click this Start Recording button down here in the corner. But what I've got now is something that will actually work really well for me. Now, I'm going to add two more things here. I'm going to add that logo. I'm also going to add a color swath to get rid of this green. FYI, there is a way in OBS to actually just overlay your whatever you're using right onto this green screen to use it as a replacement color. I'm not going to do that here. If you know OBS or you know audiovisual equipment well enough to actually pull that one off, you probably don't need this tutorial, if I'm being honest. I'm going to add something down here. I'm just going to go add a color source, okay? And I'm just going to call it white because I'm planning on just coloring it over with white. So we're just going to go get a white background and press OK. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to shrink this down here, and I'm going to place it over top of that green that we had, and problem solved. Okay, now I've got something that looks pretty close. I have to add one more thing, which is an image. Same thing. I'm just going to go add a new source here. I'm going to call this FTC Alberta logo. Now you can use your team logo. You can put whatever you want into here. Sponsors, whatever the case might be. I'm just going to hop over to my desktop and grab that logo. I'm going to press OK. I'm going to throw it in the background here. Now I'm actually ready to start recording if I wanted to. I'm very simply just, oh, hey, we're in endgame. Sweet. I'm very simply just going to take this and I'm going to turn the camera around to some robots here. There we go. Let's imagine these guys are competing. This would now be set up as a match. And if I actually wanted to run something as a match, all I need to do is click Start Recording. I'm going to record about 3 seconds of this, and then I'm going to show you where to find it. Okay, if I click Stop Recording, what's going to happen is now I am going to go back, and you're seeing my screen right now, so let's ignore the loud noise, and let's hop over to my videos folder. Now I'm using this in Windows, it's slightly different in Mac, but it is what it is. Hop over to my videos folder, and you'll notice that I have a whole bunch of these. It actually puts a date stamp on them, and you're going to see that this one, I believe, is, yeah, I stopped recording, that's good. This one's going to show up here as today's date, and I believe this is today. Let's confirm. Oh no, that one was incorrect. There we go. I found it. It has a picture of the robots you were staring at a moment ago. And I'm just going to drag this back over here, and I'm going to try to make it so that the audio doesn't go through and double up everything. There we go. Okay, and I know you can't see this yet. I'm just in the process of dragging it over. There we go. All right, and now what you guys can see is exactly what I just recorded. So you can actually see, and you can actually hear as well, whatever happened there in that last moment. So this is our recording, and I'm a big fan, by the way, of taking these and renaming these files to something, especially if I'm recording an event. Match 1, my team number, round, whatever. Be consistent with your file naming. It'll make your life much better. Now the last thing I want to do, because right now I've gone ahead and I've run a match, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm actually going to submit, I'm going to submit a pretty random autonomous here with just a few things in it, and I'm actually going to show you the score display, because that's the last thing we probably should do in all of this. Okay, I'm going to submit my driver controlled, and what you guys are going to see is now in my, just a moment here. Oh, I clearly didn't hit the final button. Submit final score. There we go. What's going to happen is in my actual scoring system, my overlay is actually going to show the final score. And so one of the things that I can do in OBS is I can hop back in here and I can create a second scene. Maybe I'm recording this right now, and right now this is just called scene. I'm just going to rename it. I'm going to call it robot match. Okay, and I'm going to make a new scene, okay, and my scene is going to be called score. You could also have an overlay for randomizer, or the randomization, which I definitely recommend. Now in this case, for my score one, all I'm going to do is grab a Windows capture, okay, and you notice that my overlay actually shows up here. So I'm going to click Add Existing. I'm just going to use the overlay that I already have, but this time I'm going to space it out so that I can see the whole thing full screen. This is a really good way of finishing off your match to show how many points you scored, what you were doing, all that fun stuff. And so now what happens is if I run a full match, I can actually switch between this, and when I record it, what's going to happen is I'm going to see a recording of this, and then when I switch to score, it's actually going to show exactly what I was seeing on the screen here as far as OBS is concerned. I'm going to jump back over into my video and just show you what that did right now, and we will go from there. And I believe it's going to show up here with a score on it. So this is the video that we just recorded for a few seconds, and when I clicked on those different scenes, we just get a different piece of this right here. I hope that all makes sense. I hope that makes what you're doing really cool, like something that is really awesome when you're actually creating videos for your team, and will help you record a few of the things that you want to for remote events. Good luck. Have fun. I figure I should turn my camera around here to say goodbye, and I hope that you all have yourselves an absolutely wonderful time. Cheers.